Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know, what you say I doubt it will stand up to something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. You can listen to this show everywhere, really. Rumble, Rockfin, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook for some reason. Still on Facebook. All of the places. Spotify, SoundCloud, Podbean even. And as always, like and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We just hit 96,000 subscribers. I would love to get to 100. I want to get the plaque, and I want to show all of my high school teachers and say, look, I'm here to prove you wrong. I don't know. Subscribe, guys. Thank you in advance. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late. I am technically, I had some technical snafus, and we're going to blame it on the baby again. That's what we'll do. We're going to blame everything on the baby going forward. Guys, this guest is somebody, if you were a Compound Media subscriber, you know him, you love him. And much like Cher or Prince, he has just one name. Welcome to the show for the first time. Lionel, hello, darling.
Interesting. One time I had a great story. You know, I love when life writes great, not jokes. I hate that comedic talk, but there was a wonderful cab driver, an Indian chap, by the way, and he says he knew who I was. He says, may I ask you a question? What is your name? What, Lionel? What? I said, Lionel, like like Cher, Elvis, Liberace, bad example. He goes, oh, like God. And I thought, yes, like God. So anyway, one day because I'm anonymous. So I wrote, I forget what it was, some intro or something, someplace. And I said, one name like God. And this Bocean said, oh, are you becoming blasphemous now? Are you suggesting you're like God? I said, no, God. Idiot. It's anyway. So it's a long story, but yes, it's one name like God. Pleasure to be here.
I like it. Lionel, I've always been fascinated by you because I was at Compound a good 5 years, and you were a frequent guest. You were always in the building, and I was like, well, he must be smart if we keep having him back so often. And I always just appreciated how you can seemingly like really talk about anything. Like you're never at a loss for words, and you're a smart guy. So I was like, let's get him on. And then before we started going live, I was like, Lionel, did you miss Compound? She's like, oh. And you were like, no.
That was the worst. That was a cross between sweatshop, abortion clinic, and something in Tijuana. Something bad. It was the worst vibe, the worst area.
It was a bad vibe, really?
It was awful. The whole the whole garment district thing, and the streets were narrow and you couldn't get to it, and it just the people who. The doorman, whoever it was, the desk attendants, with chromosomes missing, not a good.
We didn't have great security. Even after a person came in and robbed some of us, there was a woman who sauntered in, took $300 out of my purse, sauntered out, took my other friend's credit card out of her coat pocket. And even after that, we didn't have any kind of increased security, no IDs, nothing of the sort.
Well, it reeked of everything you can imagine that would reek of. And also just going to using the men's room or down the hall, walking by they had a lot of immigration lawyer offices. So you saw people, wearing, squatting. I mean, just it was a weird.
Oh, yeah, I'd get off the elevator and you see,
yeah.
like, illegal immigration lawyers, and you're like, "Ugh, why
Yes,
are we helping them? Why are we
and these
helping them?
sweat.
Send them the fuck back
Well,
to where."
listen, no, no, au contraire. They're going to they're doing it the right way. I think
Legally,
it's
okay, fine.
wonderful.
I
Hey,
take it
God
back.
bless them. I love heterogeneity in our culture. It's just
Same.
this other nonsense. Anyway, forget that. Let me just tell you something. I'm a tad older than you. I've been doing this longer, and I've never seen anything like this country right now as it is. This is unbelievable. This is do not adjust your set. This is like nothing else.
It's chaos, Lionel. It's absolute chaos, and I want your full take on everything because I think they obviously meant to take Trump out. That failed. I think if they had taken Trump out, they would have said, "Biden, stay and we're gonna get a clone, whatever, however many clones of Biden they have ready to go." They'd be like they'd go full blast on Biden, and they would just keep puppeteering him for another 4 years. But since they missed, they're like, "Well, Biden's there's no way. There's not one person who will vote for him at this point." So they had to take him out. But it's like even the Democrats know that it's basically a coup.
Well, it is. First, I don't know where let's just jump. And by the way, let me just apologize ahead of time. There's no order as to what I'm saying. So if I think of something, I'm going to run to it. It's just
Good.
I'm
That's how I
desultory.
like it.
I'm discursive. I'm elliptical. I am, what is that thing where the dog says, squirrel? That's it. I see
Yes.
something I like it. Kamala Harris is going to be, pursuant to the 25th Amendment, she will be the acting president. It's a very simple succession. If the president resigns, quits, dies, whatever, it goes to the vice president. She becomes acting president. She will go into the convention as President Kamala Harris. President.
Wow.
And that was from 1841, John Tyler and William Henry. Remember the great William Henry Harrison? His claim to fame is he died, he didn't wear a coat and died like 9 days later
You
after.
should have listened to his mother.
Yeah,
Always
he
gotta
was a
put coat
schmuck and
on.
he died. And anyway, so John Tyler said, I'm president. He said, no, you're goes, no, I'm president. So anyway, they cleared it up. And believe it or not, it becomes moot once the president says, look, I'm out of here. Now, I love a great, for lack of a better word, a great conspiracy theory as much as everybody else does. Like Gore Vidal says, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy analyst. And I'm a trial lawyer, and a conspiracy means a confederation of two or more guilty people trying to accomplish something. It's a great word. Conspire means to breathe with, conspirare. It's just an agreement. Doesn't mean crazy, doesn't mean nutty. It just
No.
means two people agreeing to do something. It's hard to believe that all this is happenstance, but let me tell you something, and this is to all of the Republicans, and I'm a political atheist. I'm an independent. I hate all the parties. I'm an atheist
You hate them
politically.
all.
Well, but they don't know what they're talking about. But I'm voting for Trump 100% because Trump is like chemotherapy. Trump is a substance that will kill somebody normally. But when you have cancer and you want to stop this metastatic, perfusion of this
We'll all
deadly
go
needle,
bald, but it's worth it. Yeah.
doesn't matter. We need this. It's either him or we die. And do not laugh Kamala Harris away. Do not think, oh,
I've been laughing
she's a
at her the
Jew.
whole time.
No. You can laugh at her. But if you don't think she can be president, you don't know how this thing works.
She was the least liked. She couldn't even win a primary in by herself. Like she
You hear
was
this
literally
word?
saved by the DEI hire.
You hear this word? She was. DEI hire, call it what you want. You call it affirmative action, call it progress. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you say. That's great if you're in the Jesse Waters show. Oh, you'll be a real hit there. Doesn't mean anything. Let me tell you what's going to happen. There are people who are going to say, listen, I've never been a part of this contraption, this government, this voting thing ever. I don't care. Democrats, whatever. They're all alike. Nothing. The last time anybody, do you remember when Obama ran? Remember Hope and Change? Okay.
Hope and change. I voted for him.
See, a lot of people
I
did.
fell
Hope
for
and
it.
change. Don't know what he
Mhm.
hoped for. Don't know what he's going to change. Hope he doesn't change. Nobody, the most nebulous, ridiculous hope and change. But you know what? I saw it. And there he was. Chrissy was a black man in a beautiful black family. And this is a chance for America to correct its ways. And the gods and the angels sang, oh, hosannas and huzzahs. And I did too. I voted. I said, this is the greatest thing in the world. And in retrospect, he wasn't as bad as anybody thought he was, but I thought it was a great statement. Okay. Take that feeling and multiply it by after Trump, because Trump does something. He is like this buttermilk or something. You either love him or you hate him, or I don't know what the word is, but he has inspired in so many people this rancor. And now it's like, wait a minute, Joe Biden, a black woman? Oh my God. And don't give me this business about, well, she's Asian. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say. She's a black woman and she is,
Mhm.
she's already there. She's a style brand. They're branding her style. She's going to be on Vogue, Hollywood,
Oh
young
God, you're
people.
right. Yeah,
She's
they
going to
never had
be,
Melania on, and she's super stylish. She's the most stylish.
when Anna Wintour, that thing was told under no uncertain terms are you to even remotely suggest that Melania Trump should be on? Never. And okay, no. We don't even acknowledge her. It's look, but that's then. You're going to see also she is going to be coached. They're going to tell her she has all these Hollywood friends. They're going to say, you're going to cut
Yeah.
that cackling down. She does this weird combination. Well, no, you know what I mean, this
You're so
calculation.
right. But
No,
what
but
about
she's
Lionel? What about all the pictures of her? They're like, "Oh, she's a hoe. She dated Montel
doesn't
Williams.
matter.
She blew
Doesn't
her way
matter.
to the top."
Who? I don't know who that. What do you go? Not. I don't want to say slut shaming because she's not a slut, but they're going to say, "Oh, this is terrific. A woman has a vibrant life." And I mean, is this the way it is? Come on, this is 2024. This is enough of this stuff. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about that. Do you realize that we live in a world right now where we're talking about gender reassignment, and somebody's going to be offended because she dated Montel Williams or Willie Brown? To go, who? Willie Brown and his band of renown. Nobody knows who he. It doesn't matter.
True.
But what they're going to do is
They'll say she's sex positive or something.
they're going to be doing some things too, where she's going to lose this these weird musings, this logoria, this logolalia, where she gets into these. By the way, we'll get to this in a moment, but she does these. It's like a combination of Deepak Chopra meets Professor Irwin Corey meets Hunter Thompson.
Yeah.
Weird.
She tries to sound smart and wise and
Yeah.
just comes out retarded.
It does not do well. So anyway, she's going to be working drastically. They're going to be fine tuning, and let me tell you, it starts now because America has the attention span of a gnat. They don't care anything about this. And let me tell you what Trump is going to do. I hope not. He's going to go to his rallies. He thinks J.D. Vance is somehow going to J.D. Vance, bless his heart, but nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about vice presidents. Now let's talk about some good news. As you know, we changed as of June the 27th. All of a sudden, Americans said, "Hey, these debates mean something now." For the most part, they didn't mean anything. They mean something now. Wait until Trump, if he knows what to do, he'll destroy her, and he can do it very
good.
simply.
I
He'll
hope
do it
so.
very. Oh yes, he'll do it very, very simply. She'll come on and do all this stuff. And what I would suggest is, first and foremost, a couple of things. She has stood for nothing. She's basically been in the background. She
lays
shows
down.
up, she dances, she does her thing, and I want Trump to turn to her at some point, irrespective of the question, and say, yes or no, is Israel guilty of genocide?
Ooh,
Dun,
is
dun,
it
dun, dun,
would a
dun,
question
dun.
like that upend any coaching that she were to get?
You won't know what to do because they would
Okay.
never thought about it. Do you think it's apartheid? Do you think it's ethnic cleansing? Come on, go. Come on, you're the president. What do you think? Let's go about it. Let's
Ooh.
talk now. Now, Trump has been absolutely adamant regarding this, and it doesn't matter what I think or anybody thinks, there's a huge faction. See, I want to form a fracture, a schism in the Democratic Party. I want to get the Bernie Bros and all these other people, the AOCs, because AOC doesn't like her. There's AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, the Squad. They're like, okay, don't say anything, because they're of the Bernie
It's
contingent.
gonna look bad because she's a fellow woman of color. They have to be
But
on board.
but they have made it very, very clear, Chrissy, that when it comes to Israel, there's a whole faction of young people who are not anti-Semitic. They're not anti-Israel. They're not against the Torah, the Talmud. No, they're against Israeli government aggression, or they're pro-Palestinian. Whatever it is, they're against what they believe to be genocide. So ask them. Put her on the spot. Let's talk about Ukraine. Do you believe in this? Are you going to continue funding? Do you believe that Ukraine should be a part of NATO? Do you want some American soldier dying in Finland because of some Article 5 nonsense? Answer the question. It's 3:00 in the morning. There's somebody on the phone. Go, go, go. What are you going to do? You just found out that Kim Jong-un fired some tactical nuke. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to reach back and tether, unburdened by the past, and what? Make her out to be the blithering idiot that she is.
I mean, whatever questions he can ask that are kind of, rhetoric and like talking point proof, you know what I mean? Because she's going to be so well rehearsed on her points that anything that can kind of go around that or up in her training.
She's already she's hinted, for example, she says, well, he is, as you know, a convicted felon. So what does he do? What we do is we teach him, like in martial arts, a kata. She does this, you go like this. If she brings up convicted, he goes, great, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about convicted. When you were a prosecutor, how many black men did you pack away for decades because of some trivial drug law? How many black men which you were proud of? And by the way, your buddy Joe Biden there wanted to crank down. Interesting phrase. Clamp down on drug laws that overly prosecuted crack cocaine versus powder. You were for that, weren't you? Let's talk about that. And let's talk about how you thought it was real funny to make fun of when you were on one show, because you're a hypocrite. You were joking about, remember she was talking about ganja, and her father said, Jamaica has been destroyed by drug abuse. What is she doing? She makes it sound like a bunch of Rastafarian, dreadlocked, whatever, Bob Marley lunatics, because she was trying to be cool, because she has no substance. She's trying to be everything to everybody. Hold her down to it. And go back to those old, watch those great Tulsi Gabbard. I'm not a huge fan of her. By the way, I love the Yvonne DiCarlo look, the Lily Munster. I love that. But she's just, but she tore her apart.
That was a great moment. Said, that was viral. Yeah.
It was viral bacterial. It was metastatic. In fact, it was also good too, because what they said was, she said, what's this nonsense about you remembering, Joe Biden? I remember, and I was that little girl on the bus. You were raised in Canada. They had busing in Canada? What are you talking about? You're a liar. You lie. Joe's a liar. You're a liar. Mendacity is your middle name. You just make this all up. And by the way, let's go back to Israel. How does your husband Doug feel about this? The first dude, or whatever he's called, he's a Jewish man. And if they get Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, you're going to have 3. What do you say about this? We want to know. And why didn't you meet with Bibi Netanyahu? Now, listen, irrespective of what you think, I'm not asking anybody. I want to force her, because can you imagine remember when Bibi just humiliated Obama, went to the Congress around his back? Oh my God. I mean, this is,
we need more moments like that. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Okay. Do you think, first of all, I want to thank Patriot Gestalt. He implored me to have you on.
Wonderful.
So a token of my appreciation for getting Lionel on your show. It was only going to be a matter of time, but he definitely sped up the process. Thank you for that. Eric Heffelfinger, question of Lionel: how accurate do you think the polls are?
Well, that's like saying, how good do you think medicine is? I mean, some is great, some are great, some are terrific. Polls, by the way, Eric, are terrific if you indeed pay for the $1 million stuff, the real good stuff. that has an accurate, that asks likely voters versus adults, that has a perfect schematic, a population curve that shows, for example, 14% of the poll is going to be African American and women. If you just can't go to the mall and say, "Hey, what do you think, Biden?"
Right.
That's a poll. Quinnipiac, ABC, that kind of stuff. Polls are exceedingly, but the internal polls you're not going to see. By the way, check out Real Clear Politics every day. Check at the top right. They kind of put them all together. You want to go swing states. Let me ask you, Eric, let me ask you, Chrissy, what is the minimal amount of states? And I'm not trying to be like Don Herbert.
No,
Mr.
everyone
Wizard.
knows I'm dumb, so I'm very upfront about that.
Anybody
So.
who says that is sandbagging you. Nobody's, I don't have any money. Okay, all right. I know, really, I'm dumb. No, you're not.
Okay.
The best thing is to know what you don't know, or sometimes things that floor you. Okay, here's the question: what if I told you you're going to run for office, for president? What is the minimal amount of states that you can win by one vote? Let's say there's this number of states you win by just one vote, and you never get one vote in the other states. You just win this number of states by just one vote. Yeah, and win under the electoral. Huh?
Like 30, more than half?
11.
Oh, okay.
So this is what we're talking about. These are big electoral college votes. This is electoral votes. This is big, 11. What? Swing states, this is what we're talking about. This, I don't care about. California is going to be California and New York. Right before this happened, Trump was going to go, New York was going to go maybe switch to blue, which nobody, red. What am I saying? Nobody ever thought about this. There were some changes.
I live in New York, and
yes,
God,
as do I.
never saw that happening. Where? What part? Are you in the city?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
So anyway, but the thing that's interesting about this is, and I say, let's see what happens now, because the polls change. There's also something which is really scary, and this is the part: who is in charge? Irrespective, who is in charge right now in the White House? If there's a problem, who answers the phone, and what do they do? Because there's stuff
manager.
That. Remember when
the theory is that Biden is like, he's been 86. Something happened to him. He went down. He took a turn. I guess
he's fine. He's going to be speaking.
Fine?
He's going to be speaking tonight or tomorrow. Is he talking tonight? What is Biden talking?
Yeah, I think
tomorrow.
I think it is tomorrow.
Yeah, so he's going to be, And by the way, interesting. I'm supposedly a conspiracy theorist because I things don't make sense to me and I ask questions. All of a sudden, the people of the left, and I'm just going to use these shortcuts for the purpose of this. I don't really believe in left or right, but anyway, but the left, all of a sudden, they're saying, well, how do you know Trump was shot? Well, how do you know it could have been a monitor? Well, how do you know? Well, I mean, it was Fauci called it a superficial wound, an AR-15 round to the ear. This is a doctor. So they have become the most bizarre, not conspiracy theorists, just lunatics as far as this goes.
They're really trying to downplay it. They think that getting what's her face to retire is going to be the end of it. They're hoping that this is going to shut down all the discourse about the lack of Secret Service, about all the blunders they did. That
Let me ask you a question. I don't know your political opinion or whatever. What do you think about abortion in this country? Because let me tell you what Kamala is about.
No, not
abortion,
about it.
Abortion.
I'm not for it. I used to be for it in my youth. I know several girls who've gotten them over the years, and they're just never the same. And ultimately, I know it's like you don't really know what you believe until you're put in that position. And luckily, I have never been in that position. Thank God. And then I have like a wonderful 3-month-old baby boy who I love, and so now I'm very, very pro-life. But
I'm not talking. No, wait. I'm pro-life too, but I'm also pro-choice. Do you think, very simply, I ask people the question: do you believe a woman should be put in prison if she has an abortion? The answer is no.
Put in prison?
Yeah. So you're pro-choice. If you're pro-life, if you're anti-abortion, you want women to go to prison. I mean, there's you
Right. I
you
mean,
can't have a
and that's the thing is pro-choice has become pro-abortion, basically.
well, we're
And
not pro. That's like saying, are you pro capital punishment? Well, not for speeders. I'm not pro. But the issue is, and this is the most important thing in the world, and I can't say this enough. The issue is not whether you are for abortion. It's a horrible situation, but I do not believe that you could tell a woman, I'm sorry, by law, you cannot have an abortion by a doctor in this country. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And if you do, you and the doctor and the nurse are going to go to prison. Now, I think in return, what we should do is we should find other adoption counseling. There is this wonderful adjunct of the Catholic Church here in New York called Sisters of Life, who actually will help girls, women, all the way through pregnancy. I mean, actually take care of them, go to the doctor, have them put the children up for adoption. I'm all for that. But I don't know anybody who says, no, there cannot be an abortion. We're going to put you in prison. It doesn't make any sense. So the question is framed differently. But let me explain to you, if I could. There's this wonderful thing here called the Constitution. And it's what people, nobody's read it. They don't understand it.
I want to get a pocket one like you have.
Well, but I've, as a lawyer, I've studied, it's not really in here is what cases say. In the United States, we have basically, under the 5th and 14th Amendment, you cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That's all it says. So I can kill you. I can put you in prison for the rest of your life. I can take your stuff. So long as we have a hearing and you have a notice to be heard. That's all it is. As long as we have a hearing. Due process means, okay, Chrissy, we're going to kill you, right? Yeah. Anything to say about it? Okay, we satisfied. Kill her. That's it. It's all it says. It guarantees you can kill people. You can put people in prison for life. I can take your stuff, eminent domain, whatever it is. That's all it says. In 1965, there was a case called Griswold against Connecticut. And it basically was a case involving the state of Connecticut prohibited contraception, even among married people. It was the most ridiculous law. Nobody ever really enforced it. It was also the Knights of Columbus. It was a Catholic thing. Anyway, so somehow and it was just a fine, but they took the case to the Supreme Court. William O. Douglas, who at the time was the most liberal, I think he was the longest serving ever, I think to this day, he said, I'm going to take this case up. Now, you looked at this and go, okay, is there anything in the Constitution that prohibits the state of Connecticut, the nutmeg state, from prohibiting the purchase of this? The answer is no. Life, liberty, property doesn't, there's no, the Constitution doesn't say anything about the Air Force, doesn't mention how many justices there are, doesn't mention marriage, doesn't mention voting, except for the 13th Amendment, 19th Amendment for women vote. But it doesn't say a lot of stuff. But that doesn't mean that there's no law against it. So anyway, this is long-winded, but you're going to love this. So William O. Douglas says, there's got to be some kind of constitutional, just something. Mr. Justice Douglas, there's nothing in here. Wait. I got it. The penumbra. When the sun is behind the world, and look at this. I have this is my Dollar Tree thing. And when the sun, the lights from behind it, the penumbra, that there are penumbras of rights that emanate from the first and third. And he made this stuff up, and he said, and there's this thing called privacy. He said, what? Privacy. Where's privacy? I don't know. I made it up. And he made up privacy. Now, that's like saying the right to stuff. It's like, all right. He said privacy. Okay, 1973, Harry Blackmun, Roe against Wade. He uses privacy. And this thing called substantive due process, which I'm not going to bother you with, but it makes no sense at all. They create this. This case, Casey comes along, overrules Roe, and then Dobbs comes along and says, nope. What do we mean today? It means that if the state of New York wants to allow or prohibit abortion, it can do so. There is no constitutional guarantee, period. In New York, there's no death penalty. Fine. In some states, Texas, there is. Fine. There's nothing, and the Constitution specifically provides for the death penalty. So what happened was, in the course of all of this pretty serious stuff, we just got lost in this. It became white men and woman's right to her body. And it's like, no, that's not what it's about. It's just there's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about that. Period. There's nothing in the Constitution that guarantees your right to sodomy. Sorry, sodomy. Why not take sodomy? There's nothing. That doesn't mean you're going to throw homosexuals in jail. And by the way, sodomy can be committed by heterosexuals. It means there's nothing in the Constitution. That's all it says.
Mhm.
Well, Kamala Harris isn't going to let that distinction be known. Her thing is that this is an example of this white nationalist, whatever the hell she calls it.
Right.
And that's why the Republicans have to say flat out, we're not for banning abortion. There may be
Okay.
factions of it. It's up to the states. If you got
Yeah.
a beef, go to Albany, go to whatever, go to
Wherever
Trenton.
you live. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Just say it. But don't get up there and go to, CPAC and stand there with the
Mhm.
Bible. And I mean, just look, religion is a great thing. Keep it out of government. I'm sorry. Just
I think a lot of that is to kind of impress like their the people who think like them. It's not really super practical to do that. Like what you're explaining, like grandstanding with the Bible and like what's morally right. And that's up to individual people. And you're never going to you're not going to win by telling people they're wrong or they're immoral. Like you can't change people, at least not quickly like that.
no, not at all. In fact, it's a very important thing. The First Amendment deals with two particular things. Very interesting. The Establishment Clause says that the Congress cannot establish a religion. We don't have the Anglican Church, the Church of England, the Church of the United States. It can't establish. And it also can't affect the free exercise, which is complete BS. What about during Prohibition? Indian Native Americans couldn't use peyote. That was part of their religion. Sorry. Wait a minute.
Aw.
What about the First Amendment? Sorry. We're all men, they're created equal, except for slavery. There was a fugitive slave clause in the first part. The first thing the Constitution said was, if your slave runs away, you better give him back. Thank you. Then the 13th Amendment got rid of that. How about this? Women couldn't have the right to vote until the 19th Amendment, like 100 years after slavery. We got around to you voting later on.
It was a mistake. No.
Right. Well, but I'm saying, see, and if ever, by the way, a great place, if you get a chance, go to Philly to the Constitution Center. It's wonderful.
Ooh, I think I've been there. Is that where the bell is?
Well, that's where Philly is, yeah. But
Okay.
it's down there's Constitution Hall, which to me I get choked up. But the actual, it's like an interactive, like a museum. It's good for kids. They got plays.
Oh, cool.
It is the most important. It is the most critical thing because we are a republic, a constitutional republic, not a democracy. And that may sound like, well, you're nitpicking. No, democracy is tyranny by the majority. If a bunch of people think that, slavery, you know what, I think it's got its point. Sorry. We don't care if you. So anyway, I don't mean to lecture, but I'm very passionate about it. And if we're not going to address it, if we're not going to deal with it like that, did you watch a Republican convention?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of it? Seriously.
I thought it was a little corny. But again, the type of people that go to these things, it's like their Super Bowl. It's like their Taylor Swift concert. Like
Yeah.
they get excited all year. They get their rhinestone sequined outfits
Yes.
ready and they live for it.
Well, my wife and I went to one in it was in St. Paul. It was when John McCain and Sarah Palin were running, and I thought, oh my God, Sarah Palin. See, I don't understand where these Republican folks come from because we need to have during summer kind of a boot camp for Americans to say, okay, let's start off with the basics. Like, what do you believe? Democrats
Right.
and Republicans, conservatives, what does this mean? Republicans, remember the first the first Republican National Convention. I think it was 1856 in Philly. Two things they were worried about. Remember, these are ex-Whigs. Two things that really pissed off the Republicans. They called them the twin pillars of barbarism. One was polygamy. They couldn't stand the Mormons. They were fixated on this. And slavery. It was the Republicans. The Democrats gave you the Klan. The Dixiecrats gave you the Klan, not the Republicans. This is such a great story. How it evolves, and you end up now with Kid Rock and Dana White, and
I thought that was kind of fun. Hulk Hogan was definitely fun to see. He looked great.
I guess. Listen, that's cute, but I'm beyond cute. My country is going straight to hell, and Hulk Hogan is going to have to emphasize. I mean, it's nice. It was a good thing. Oh yeah, I'm getting Randy Savage confused. Hulk Hogan. We don't want to go into the. He's from my hometown.
His shirt off, Lionel. Can you do that?
No. What if it didn't break? What if he brought like the wrong one that wasn't already pre-torn? Can you imagine
that would be it for him. He'd have to pack it up. Yeah.
Do you remember Trump's inaugural and nobody showed up? Andrea Bocelli.
Was it really nobody? I thought it was a decent showing.
No, I meant the stars. Ralph.
Oh, yeah. Well,
was it Ralph Macchio? No, who was it? No, Chachi showed up. Antonio Sabato Jr. and
celebrities, though.
But it was like a Love Boat. It was bad. It was like Gavin McLeod and Rula Lenska. I mean, it was like B-listers. What I hope Trump does, if he wins now and he still can win, I hope he has no inauguration, goes right to the White House, gets sworn in, and gets down to business, undoing everything that these people have done. But he's got a lot. Kamala changed everything. Everything.
Yeah. It's really going to be interesting. I think I'm enjoying seeing kind of the emotions about it. Even AOC, she was like, I don't feel safe. I mean, the Democrats know that this is not the way things are supposed to go. Like,
no.
Like what about all the people who voted? It's and they did this on purpose. They just waited it out as long as they possibly could. It's like, well, I'm sure there's lots of people who would have liked to have, maybe voted on somebody. Maybe lots of people who wouldn't have voted for Kamala, and we don't even know it's this who she's going to pick for the vice president. It's like they were down for the ticket of Biden and Harris,
right?
And now it's not Harris and question mark.
But Chrissy, this is the second time they did this. They did this to Bernie Sanders. I got to tell you something. I may not agree with people politically, but I like when people are sincere, and Bernie Sanders is sincere. My wife and I were in Brooklyn right around that time in 2016 or whatever it was, the time of Hillary, and it was a cold day. And these youngsters, were out there and they were singing and they loved Bernie and Bernie. Here's this 75-year-old Jewish guy from Brooklyn with a funny accent who just galvanized these young kids. They loved him. I thought, sorry. And Bernie was there crying. Remember that terrible scene when he was crying? And then young Democrats realized these people are heartless. That's right. Get used to it. And then it was Hillary who kind of like stormed into it. Now we've got these other people who were told specifically, I'm staying in. Joe said, I'm not going anywhere. Nancy Pelosi said, he's staying in. Joe Scarborough, for God's sake. Everybody said, I've never seen him better. And then, never mind. Sorry, I changed my mind. And by the way, one more thing about the 25th Amendment. If you read this, if you read the original notes of this, Birch Bayh and this other congressman, they weren't talking about somebody who lost their fastball. This was designed for somebody who was unconscious. I mean, and even Woodrow Wilson, who had a full stroke and his wife was running the country. Even that was, we're talking about somebody who was virtually dead, not somebody who was a little slow, because there were times when everybody from Grover Cleveland.
You think Biden is just a little slow? You don't think it's more than that?
I've seen him when he talks. First of all, a couple of things. Not to play armchair doctor, but friends of mine who are physicians say he never forgets what you're saying. He never says, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" He never does that. He has that typical Alzheimer's or Parkinson's dementia, or even Lewy body dementia, which I thought he had. That's what Robin Williams died of ultimately. Short-term memory is gone. So he'll talk to you. He'll just kind of poop out. That's still not good. Don't get me wrong. But the question I ask you, Chrissy, is how sharp must you be? And we don't know. Now, if they try to force him and he says, no, I'm not going to leave, then the vice president, along with the cabinet, submits to the president pro tem, who, by the way, Patty Martin or something. Nobody's ever heard who she is. She's the president pro tem. And Mike Johnson. And then if Biden wants to refute that, he files a rebuttal. And then we go to both houses by 2/3 vote. This makes impeachment look like a parking ticket. It's a disaster. I mean, it's deliberately hard by design to do that. So they make it sound like they threatened him with the 25th Amendment. He didn't threaten him with anything. If they did threaten him, they threatened him with Hunter and himself.
Oh.
Because they told him, by the way, don't think for 1 minute that you're out of the woods, because we could prove right now that you are part of an ongoing criminal conspiracy, along with you and your son and your brother and your other brother and your daughter-in-law and all your family members who signed LLCs to funnel money in. So don't get cheeky. So he will, remember, Chrissy, he is going to step down. Kamala Harris is going to be President Kamala Harris. President now. There's
Woo.
it's
When do
going to
you expect
happen
that to happen? I was reading on this
within
article
days.
that a Parkinson's expert visited the White House 8 times in a period spanning from last summer to this spring, including at least once where they met with Biden's personal physician. So maybe it is Parkinson's.
By the way, the way I would read this, a Parkinson's expert attended, but he's not the only one who attended. What about somebody who was there for neurological, for stroke? Other doctors as well, proctologists. So they never finish it. Was he the only doctor? So they throw you off with that. See, one of the best.
I'm sure he had a slew of people coming in to check him out.
But they focused in on the Parkinson's doctor. You know, I'm sure he had other people as well. See, one of the things which is so interesting is, whenever they do, sleight of hand and all that stuff, it's about distraction. And by the way, interesting story, years ago, they took these prestidigitators, and a lot of neurologists and learning specialists said, maybe we can learn about, this is an aside, about dyslexia, and by learning how the brain doesn't process things, which I always thought was interesting. So they always distract you. Like yesterday with Cheadle, that was a distraction.
Yeah.
Wasn't she great? I'm sorry, it is our duty. No, answer the question. The question is, it is our duty. Quit telling us what the duty is. Yes or no? Did you make a mistake? I represent. Stop it. And then finally, who was it? Mace went berserk. She basically said, you're full of, when AOC says, whoa, hey. I mean, this.
I have that clip here, Lionel. I was going to play a little bit of that. I think it's kind of entertaining. Okay, here we go. Yeah, she's getting a lot of credit for her opinion on this.
Director Cheadle, respectfully, what you had just laid out about 60 days. We are currently in the midst of an especially concentrated presidential campaign in the moment.
Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate
it. Concentrated. I want to get to the point where she's freaking
targeted.
out about.
You want to get Mace. This is AOC.
Targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any,
so she's claiming 60
days is 10 days
long.
Policy decisions, and we have to get term. And without that, we are flying blind. So the lack of answers and the lack of report is just simply not something that we can accept here.
Good for her.
Director Cheadle, is there a standard perimeter that the Secret Service
Okay, and
establishes?
she said no, they don't have a secret perimeter. They establish perimeter. They just take it case by case.
Do you
then there's a
have
part-
Mace? Do you have Mace losing it completely? Where
I think
she says you are full o' shite, as the Irish would say.
How far away was that building from the
see.
people?
That's the one that
AR-15 has
I'm
a
not-
range of about assassination attempt.
Oh, this was
An
interesting.
AR-15 has a range of about 400 to 600 yards. My question is, why does the Secret Service perimeter, why is the Secret Service protective perimeter shorter than one of the most popular semi-automatic weapons in the United States?
There are a number of weapons out there with a number of ranges. Again, an
That's not
advance
the
was
end. She's
completed.
good.
The determination of the perimeter. I'm not going to speak to specifics, but there are a number of factors that are taken into account when we determine our perimeter. Some of it has to do with terrain, some of it has to do with buildings, some of it has to do with assets and resources that are available.
And so what I'm hearing is that a perimeter was not established outdoors in an outdoor venue.
Building, there were a number of buildings in the area, and there was overwatch that was created to help mitigate
she doesn't
some
answer
of those
anything.
buildings.
No, but a couple of things here, by the way, just for those who don't really care about, or maybe they do. The AR-15 is just a rifle. There are deer rifles that are far more accurate and far more effective than this. The AR-15 also can hold a number of forms of ammunition. That's what we're talking about, not the rifle itself. And the question that she meant to be saying, because AOC didn't follow up. If you're going to do cross-examination, you've got to know,
Right.
you got to follow up. The question is, every rifle has at least roughly a certain range. Everything, whether it's deer rifle, 22 longs, 30-06, whatever it is. Shouldn't this at least be the minimum? And by the way, when you have civilians saying, hey, there's a guy on top with a rifle, this was to pad. This was tap dancing. This was to turn you off, as in the back, they're on the phone. Okay, we got Kamala. You ready? Joe, you stepping down? Okay, let's go do this.
Right.
Spread this thing out. Mace, mention your line. And then that just took everybody, because these hearings do nothing. Jim Jordan, all these other people, it's just waste my time with these hearings. Remember the TikTok guy? Nothing. Zuckerberg? Nothing.
Right.
They do. Remember when in 2005, when they had the Major League Baseball players talking about performance enhancement drugs and steroids? Nothing. In 93 or 94, they had the heads of the tobacco companies saying that they didn't think that nicotine was addictive. Nothing. But who gets hit with contempt? Steve Bannon and Navarro. Nobody else. It's a joke. It's a complete joke.
I like the part where she is going, you can see she sounds really concerned. I'm not sure where it is on here, but she sounds very concerned. And you're like, wow, she's really, she really cares that Trump was almost assassinated. And then she goes on and on. She goes, I myself have received so many death threats, and so many that I don't even make public. And then I'm like, oh, this is about you, AOC. You are worried about yourself.
Remember during January 6th when she claimed she was nowhere near this, but she claimed that somehow they were trying to break down the door
or something.
Yeah. It's just, let me tell you something. You got to hand it to her. This was Sandy. I think she used to work at the Union Square Cafe. She was a hostess.
I love that you call her Sandy. It's
Sandy.
Great.
Well, that was her name. Sandy.
It is. It's her legit name. Yeah.
And when she was a hostess, and she's come a long way, and she did her thing, and she actually destroyed one of the biggest deals ever for Long Island City and Amazon. She's got a lot to be thankful for. That would have completely changed the fabric, the economic, pulse of the area by putting a huge Amazon factory. Anyway, but don't sell her short. She's going places. Believe it or not.
You think she's going to run for president?
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
My God. How many years away are we from that, an AOC presidential run?
You got to be 35. I don't know if she's hit 35 yet. There's a while. The next president, I would have put all my money on Gavin Newsom. Now that's the story.
Yeah. He's got a face for it.
No. It gets even better than that. there is in California, there is the California Mafia of Newsom, Pelosi, D'Alessandro, who's Nancy's maiden name, Brown, and the Getty family. The Getty family is to California what people believe the Soros group is.
Okay.
And Gavin Newsom was basically the adopted son of the Gettys. Gavin Newsom, when he was mayor of San Francisco, was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is currently
Oh,
Don Jr.'s fiance.
wow.
That's another story. And it was a wild and woolly time. And if it's like anything else, don't be surprised if, not that I know this, but don't be surprised if there are pictures and films and glossies that somebody's got somewhere. Because remember, the two biggest industries today are human trafficking and extortion, blackmail.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. So he's coming up. He's looking at 28 for sure. Unless
Wow.
she wins and does such a bang up job, she goes for 2 terms.
How come the Democrats are so unprepared for this for 2024? They just really were banking on Trump being assassinated.
You know, I don't think they were. I really put it this way. There's no evidence of any of it. I don't think they'd be surprised. You know, there's 2 ways. There's 2 theories. Whatever you want something terrible to happen, it's called lie hop and my hop. Let it happen on purpose or make it happen on purpose. Let it happen on purpose is kind of easier. You just,
Right.
it's like if you watch Godfather, when they pull back the security contingent from the hospital and they almost kill the Don and Michael shows up. And then you put Fredo in charge of security. So it's funny. We learn from movies. It was bound to happen. I promise you, civilian and citizen investigative reporting are going to find more about this shooter, whose name I will never utter. Why we make these people famous posthumously, I will never understand. I'll never understand.
Yeah, it's part of why
we
they
give
do it.
them- Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot going on, and nobody is even remote. And I don't know what to believe, but that is going nowhere. There will be no investigation of this. There will be some online sleuth. It'll go the way of the Kennedy assassination. There'll be some guy with suspenders and a funny hat who knows the truth, but he won't be taken seriously because he's not wearing a suit. And but remember, Oliver Stone did more in a movie to open up our interest in JFK than anything the government ever did.
Wow, that's a good point. Grab America by the pussy. He says not one, not Trump or anyone else can stop the implosion of America, but if Trump gets elected, we may be able to prevent the end of the world. Gosh.
Oh, absolutely.
Makes me
Donald
anxious.
Trump is a savant. Donald Trump, who knew that he would have this ability to let me tell you another thing too, by the way, throw some little mix into this. You know why JD Vance is so interesting? I don't care about this story about the
Because
hillbilly.
he's kind of
business.
attractive. No, I don't know.
I don't know what that meant. Well, it's his connection with Peter Thiel and big tech. That's interesting. Now, big tech, work with me on this. Big tech is not Facebook, and nobody cares about that. That is all a pretext. Social media was created basically by, for lack of a better word, the government. In-Q-Tel was the investment banking part of it, DARPA and others. So they came up with this great idea. Let's come up with this concocted story of this goofy guy named Zuckerberg in his dorm, and he puts together this cool thing called Facebook. They already had this before. So they give it a name, and just like, here's Bill Gates. He's a kind of a nerd guy, again, Harvard dropout, who worked in his garage, and lo and behold, he came up with his computer.
They're just the faces of it.
Which, by the way, was guaranteed. Remember why PCs had so many viruses? Macs don't, but PCs had them. Because one of the conditions was they were going to go into every home and business. And in order for the government to get into the back, you've got to take down all defenses. That's why we had the Michelangelo virus, this virus.
Oh, wow.
And they said, didn't you think that maybe, oh, yeah, we forgot about that. So anyway, Dorsey and others, and Elon Musk, I think, is a champion, though I don't trust him completely. Make a long story short, as we speak, Chrissy, every We have the ability to identify every person on the face of the earth by virtue of Facebook. That was a ruse to collect data so that we can have a 24/7 panopticon, this Malthusian panopticon, so that we can have complete and total real-time surveillance of everyone. And people will voluntarily do this. We also want through, Bezos. That's another great story. There's this kind of goofy guy with Lauren, and he has this garage, and well, his cloud services really are what Amazon's about, because Amazon doesn't even make any money, believe it or not. Do you ever get something from Amazon? They can't make money. You could say, I want a paper clip, and it'll come in a box delivered. It's very inefficient, but that's not where they make it. So Peter Thiel met with Vance, kind of set him up in his venture capital. And what Trump has behind him is the of some of the baddest dudes you've ever seen who are on Trump's side. And I don't know how this is going to work. But in the old days, when you had Dinesh D'Souza, and he does 2,000 mules, and they would, empty and burn ballots. Now they can say, hey, Peter, do you think you can maybe help us out with this? No problem. How? Better you not know. Okay, fine. You've got if big tech said we're going to shut down the border like that, using drones and technology you can't imagine, it could be done in a heartbeat. By the way, let me ask you something. Why did the Democrats want open borders? What was their goal?
What was that about? To have more voters for Biden, I guess.
Precisely. There's the goal was always this, and they're very smart. Number one, a permanent Democratic majority. They want to repeal the filibuster. They want to pack the Supreme Court, and they want to make DC the 51st state. Forever a permanent. They are so smart. What do Republicans do? They go like this. Yay! We're great. Aren't we great? We are great. Hey, let's go outside on Fox News and let's make some burgers on the grill. Come on, Ainsley. You want to do that? Yay! That's all they do. That's their thing. We're great. We're smart. They think they're better, smarter, more patriotic. And the Democrats used to think they were more intelligent. They were more intelligent. Today, they're just anti-Trump. They don't really, but that's precisely what they wanted to do. They are not that, but the shadow government, the people that actually run the country via these, because they're almost like a virus that took over. They are brilliant. So now the best thing about this is J.D. Vance taps into this. That's critical.
Interesting. Okay. That makes sense for why he chose him then. Another one from Grab America by the Booty. So enjoy Hulk Hogan and strap in for the ride. Yep. This was another interesting comment. Trump was supposed to be dead. It's the RNC that's supposed to be scrambling. Yeah, I think so. Another one from Grab America. Biden pulled out after the donors stonewalled him. Yes, I heard that.
No, he didn't pull out. They
forced him out.
Look, let's be honest. He's not well. I mean, you don't have to be, like a friend of mine said, would you let him drive you home from the airport? No. This it's not about polls. It's kind of a sad thing. His wife, Jill, I think, really wanted this bad. That's why she wanted the whole Dr. Jill thing, because she was so tired of getting the mail that said Senator and Mrs. Well, I'm a doctor. She's an EDD from an EDD with ADD.
She's power hungry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And she's done now. After this, back to Wilmington. That's it. She's through. They will forget her like you can't believe. And they never liked Joe Biden. They never. Look at Michelle Obama, how they kept saying she's going to run. She was never going to run. She wants to be Oprah. They forget, Chrissy, they will forget about Biden so fast.
Oh, yeah.
He's already forgotten. Forgotten.
They've already moved on. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more super chat here from Jimmy McGill. Lionel, how long have you been in porn? Body count? I don't know. That might be, maybe that's a joke. Okay. All right, we need serious questions here. Come on now. Okay. Final thoughts, Lionel. You're so great. I have to have you back. My God, you're so much fun to talk to. And I can just listen to you for hours.
Well, let me just say something to you. First of all, congrats. Thank you for doing this, because this is the most exciting stuff in the world. And what you're doing, and I'm not just being gratuitous. Look, I started off in talk radio in 1988. This is when talk radio really took up, right around Rush Limbaugh. And it was the glory days. And I've seen every iteration. And right now, what people are doing on streaming platforms is mind-boggling. And you're making it accessible, and you're making it cool and funny and interesting. And it's in the old days, it was, I'm sorry, listen, Missy, let us talk about politics. What do you know? Now everybody knows it. This is the most, because how old is your son, did you say?
3 months.
That child, I feel so sorry for. No, I'm serious. My wife has an organization called Lynn's Warriors. She is dealing 24/7 regarding child trafficking, child predation, human trafficking. And the thing that you've got to worry about more than anything else, they're going to come after your son through social media and through that phone. And if you knew what happened to kids, what's happening today, and how they are going, if you really understood it, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Look at what they did regarding gender reassignment, how they wanted to take
God.
little kids in
It's horrible.
schools, because your son is the future. And if we can destroy his beautiful, innocent world, it's make sure you teach your son how to throw a ball and do stupid things and play.
Oh, yeah. No screens for
blocks.
him. I don't even like when the TV's on in the background. I'm all about that. I'm all over that, Lionel. I
Good,
hear
good,
you.
good.
I hear you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to cut you short. My
No,
God,
no.
we could keep talking another 3 hours. I'll definitely have you back. Thank you so much, Lionel. Everyone follow Lionel on Twitter at Lionel Media, and subscribe to his YouTube at Lionel Nation. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you to the chat for your comments and questions. And we will see you guys next time. Bye. Stay tuned. Interesting times.